Hey guys, welcome back to the Smitty and D Show. Of course, I am Tony D, and in the studio, guys, listen, if you've gotten into a little bit of trouble, you may have seen this woman. I'm not going to tell you why, but she's freaking amazing. She's got a new book out called The Daughter of a Junkie, a True Love Story. Welcome to the studio, Judge Terrinee Gundy. Hi, friend.
Hey, you're making me blush.
Oh, we aim to please. Let's just say that I've known this woman for a little bit. Like her reputation it's amazing. Like, I'm so proud that you are part of this Black excellence situation here in Atlanta. And
double blush.
Yeah, I feel like with this book, like, you're doing great things, and I'm so proud of your story. But I'm not gonna.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna talk too much. We're gonna get into it. You ready? You ready?
Get into it.
So you're a judge.
I am.
And you've seen some crazy things. We're not gonna talk about that yet. But you're a judge for the city of Atlanta.
Municipal Court of Atlanta, yes.
Yes. And you used to be an attorney.
I did.
What made you want to be a judge?
So I decided to become a lawyer at 7.
Okay.
Yes.
How did that go? Were you just arguing your points all the time and winning?
No. So I actually go in great detail about it in the book because the police came to my house to arrest my father. And my daddy told me at 7 years old that he needed a lawyer. And so at 7, I had no idea what that meant. I just knew that I wanted to always help my daddy. Yeah. So in that moment, I decided, okay, well, I'll be a lawyer so I can help my daddy.
Wow.
Fast forward 2 years later, my neighbor is arrested. Yeah. And he was mentally challenged. They accused him of some very bad things that even at 9 years old, I knew that he was not capable of doing. And so for me, I was overwhelmed with emotion. And when I asked my father when he was coming back home after they arrested him, he told me that he wasn't coming back home because the judge didn't look like us.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so in that moment, I decided to become a judge.
Wow.
Again, not knowing that the two careers are even related. Not knowing you have to first become a lawyer before you can become a judge.
Right.
But, you know what they say. Make a plan and watch God laugh.
Ooh. So I guess the question I want to know is, how well do you argue? Like, if I'm your friend, are you always winning the debates?
Well, I will say that I am very witty.
Okay.
And I am very aggressive.
Yes.
Yes. Or should I say passionate?
Passionate. We like that word.
Yeah. And so what I tell people all the time is my pain threshold is higher than yours.
Ooh.
So we're going to go back and forth and you're just going to quit. Because I'm never going to be that hurt.
Ooh.
So I wouldn't say I like to argue.
I'm a little scared of you, Judge. I'm a little scared now.
Well, I am from Duval now.
I'm just saying. She's from Jacksonville, y'all. She's from Jacksonville, so she know about some pain thresholds.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it takes to survive, to get out of there.
I'm from Detroit. I don't know. I don't know if I can compare. I don't know. You got 2 kids?
I have 2 amazing kids.
And they're getting ready to leave the house. How are you gonna deal with this?
Very badly.
Oh my God.
I was not prepared for this. As many things that I've been prepared for in my life.
Yeah.
Never been prepared to, in my mind, lose my children, which this is what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not losing them, but the fact that they're leaving, it scares me.
Yeah. You know what? I often told my daughter that it's unfair that I raised and fed you this long for you to just disappear. Like, no, this is a gang. You're in it. You have to stay, But I do feel like you might have to go through it, and they'll have to go through it. They'll learn and they'll grow. They'll grow very, very well. Going back to the book with your father, let's talk about the fact that your father was a junkie. What was that like? What was going
my
through
father
you?
still fights this battle. It's one day at a time.
To this day?
Yeah.
Wow. What was the
So he
drug
has
of
smoked crack cocaine since 1978.
Wow.
And he has fought those demons for over 45 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I would say that, I guess this sounds weird, probably to a lot of people who didn't grow up in this kind of environment. But you don't realize how dysfunctional or chaotic it is until you're reflecting back. That was my case anyway.
Right.
To be honest with you, there were some things that I went through that I didn't realize how ridiculous they were until I started writing and start thinking about my own children.
Give me something. What was so ridiculous that was just like, this is crazy. You won't believe this.
So a lot of people find it very hard to believe that on several occasions, my first thought would be to get rid of the drugs. And growing up, and even once I became an adult, I never reflected back like, oh, I used to flush drugs down the toilet. Because I was afraid that the authorities would come, and if they found drugs, they would take my sister and I away from my parents. And so for us, that was scarier than having parents who did drugs. That was scarier than not having food. That was scarier than not having lights, being taken from our parents. And so that was my number one goal, was to keep my family together.
Right.
But I didn't think about, like, the idea of me flushing drugs down the toilet at 9 until I start writing and start thinking about, well, what if my kid had to flush my drugs down the toilet at 9? Yeah, that was a bit overwhelming for me.
Yeah. Now that you're a judge and you preside over, I guess, is it DUI?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you find that you have kind of maybe an empathetic heart for some of those folks, because you know alcoholism can be a drug too?
Well, okay, so point of clarification, driving under the influence means any influence.
Anything.
Yes,
Okay.
so it means alcohol, it means substances,
Right.
it means prescription drugs.
Gotcha.
But what I will say is my father doesn't drink. Go figure.
Yeah.
So I don't have as much experience with alcoholics as I do necessarily someone who's addicted to crack cocaine.
Gotcha.
But what I do have an abundance of experience with is addiction. And I think that my background really helped me on a day-to-day basis, and not just in court, in every part of life. Humanize everyone and listen very closely to all people's stories. And sometimes people really, really, truly want help. And then sometimes people just want to get through this to get to their next high. And so you can't really judge someone's motive, especially if they're in the middle of their addiction. Because you have to remember that addiction is a disease. And we all behave differently when we're going through some kind of sickness or illness.
Right.
So I think that, you know, it helps me just take everything for face value for the moment where we are and listen intensely.
Okay. Wow. What have you learned, really, besides what you just told me, about being a junkie's daughter? Like, how do you raise your kids? How does that impact you, really? Because I told you my story, growing up in foster care. I feel like everything, my foundation is based off of that. And so I always revert back to, okay, well, when I was in foster care, do you have those moments?
I would say, it's so funny you asked me this question. Yes, I have these moments. But I don't necessarily think that they're bad moments. Because growing up as the daughter of a junkie, many junkies are very creative. Because they are they are always going to figure out how to get their next high. That takes creativity. Well, their children pick up these similar skills if you survive, and especially if you make it out. So I have to give my parents a lot of credit, because I think that they taught me so many life skills that I have tried to transfer to my own children without the trauma. Because I am a self-reliant, self-confident woman because my parents made me believe that I could survive anything. So with me, I have experience at falling, but more importantly, experience at getting up time and time and time and time again. That is really what takes most people out. They don't know how to get back up.
Right. That's true.
And so for that, I'm very proud of. And I know that but for Linda and Anthony, I would not be the woman that I am. I would not be so resilient. And I am convinced even more so that I needed to be this woman to make it out of the poorest zip code in the state of Florida. Like, I needed all of that. I needed to be able to rely on myself at 9 years old, at 11 years old, at 13 years old. I needed to believe, when I had never seen a judge in my life at 9 years old, that I could grow up and become a judge. But I wouldn't have done that without the confidence and love my parents instilled in me.
You spoke about your mom and your dad and how creative your dad was. Where was your mom at? What was your mom doing during this time?
My mom was fighting her own demons of abuse. She had a different drug abuse.
What was that?
She powder cocaine.
Okay.
So she's never smoked crack cocaine. My mom is literally one of the most beautiful souls I've ever met in my life. I mean, if she walked through this door right now, she would light this room up. That everyone she meets loves her because she has an essence of beauty on the outside, of course, but more importantly on the inside. Her heart is so pure and full. But that same heart, I feel like, was her kryptonite sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you can be too giving. You can be too open. You can be too helpful. And so I think that for my sister and I, we would sometimes feel like she was being taken advantage of because she was so sweet.
Do you think that was her outlet, how she kind of escaped?
No. That is the essence of who she is.
Okay.
That is the essence. She's just a sweet woman.
Okay.
And I love that despite everything that she's gone through in life, she did not let life rob her of that. So sometimes life will change who we are at our core. At almost 70 years old, my mom has remained one of the sweetest people I've ever known in my life.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. I've had family members in my family that battle addiction, and I would even say parents, step-parents. With my siblings, they have their own battles. Are you ever concerned, or were you ever concerned with the fact that if your parents had their addictions or could succumb to their addictions, that could possibly happen to you? And then did you try to basically avoid any sort of addiction, any sort of anything that could have, taken you over?
I have never thought that I would become an addict because I knew I would never try anything to become an addict.
Smart.
I am my daddy's child. I look just like my mom, but I act just like my dad.
Gotcha.
And so I'm his daughter. Everything good about him, he gave to me. Why wouldn't he give me the bad parts too?
That's deep.
So I don't know how I had the wherewithal at such a young age to know that, but I did.
Yeah.
And so I was able to take all the good things out of him and kind of reject the bad things. And I saw what it did to him. And so for me, I've never tried drugs in my life, any form. I don't drink. It's just, I just know I'm his daughter.
Yeah.
And if I started down that route,
Yeah.
I would be him.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, you're in that field, and I guess the biggest question now is the whole prescription drug epidemic. Can we speak about that? What's going on? Have you seen an increase over the years? Is this something that we really need to be concerned about as far as parents with the young, the young or the youth using prescription drugs? Is it really that bad as they're saying it on television?
Statistically, I have no idea. I'm not an expert in the drug world.
Yeah.
But I can just tell you that my own opinion from what I'm seeing is that there's an increase of drug use across the board. So I don't think it's just prescription drugs.
Got it.
I think that we are at a time, I think there are really two different things going on. I think we're back at that time similar to when our parents grew up in the 70s, where drugs was widely accepted. It was just really a form of partying. My father was introduced to crack cocaine. He was just trying it once, like as a young kid. So he never did hard drugs before then. He was instantly addicted. I think a lot of these other drugs that we have now, the meth, the fentanyl, all of those things are highly addictive, even more addictive than crack cocaine was.
Oof.
And so you're having people who are trying drugs one time and they're becoming instantly addicted. And you begin to have to fight that battle. I also think that coming out of this 100-year phenomenon of COVID and isolation, we saw an increase in depression, in abuse, physical, mental abuse. And I think that to cope, people start using substances again at a higher level than they had been previously. So you combine that where we have a generation who is more freely experimenting with drugs, and then you have a whole nother part of our society that was impacted by something that hasn't happened in 100 years. People are just really probably trying to get along the best way that they can. But it goes back to what I was telling you, why I'm so grateful. People hear me say the daughter of a junkie, and they honestly and instantly think of something bad. I was wonderful during COVID. And I'm not saying that to be boastful. I'm just saying that because I have been through so much in life before. No, I'd never experienced COVID, but I had experienced food shortages. I'd experienced isolation. I'd experienced being shut off because I'm trying to protect my family, my parents, keep us together. That when we had to go through that, the difference than a lot of people for me was that I knew that there was going to be an end and I was going to be okay. And I think that a lot of people struggled with, are we going to be okay?
How difficult is it to become a judge? Can you walk us through that process? I know there's different ways, but how difficult was it for you to become a judge?
Okay, so
give us the story. Give us the story.
The story, when you say how difficult was it for me.
Or how easy, I don't know.
It's for everything in life is easy for me because
I know that's right. Yes, Judge Terrinee. Y'all heard it here first. Everything is easy for her. Teach us that way. I love it.
It's just the way my mind works.
I'm here for it.
Because, again, I went to get my father out of a crack house as a child.
Yeah.
When you start there,
yeah,
everything else is really easy.
Right.
And again, I knew how the story was going to end. I knew I was going to become a lawyer. I knew I was going to become a judge. So, there's a meme that says, it's not the win, it's the win. I knew I was going to get that win, W-I-N. I was just waiting on the WHEN.
Oof. Teach us.
But just for the listeners to be clear, you have to go to college and get an undergraduate degree. Mm-hmm. I went to Clark Atlanta University. Hey. Yes, proud CAU graduate. And then you have to continue on to law school. I went to the University of Georgia. Mm-hmm. Once you finish law school, you have to be admitted to take the state bar. And that is how you become a licensed and practicing attorney. Mm-hmm. In the state of Georgia, you have to be an attorney for 5 years before you can become a judge. Mm-hmm. There are 2 paths to becoming a judge. You can be appointed or you can be elected. And so I was appointed by Mayor Kasim Reed at the time, mm-hmm. and I have been reelected 3 times by retention vote. And what that means is that as long as we get the majority of the vote, mm-hmm. we remain in our seat.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. Let's talk about stuff that's not dealing with that. All right. Let's talk about Atlanta. Atlanta's changed
Love
over
Atlanta.
I know, right? Atlanta's changed over the years. Walk me through some of the things that you've seen that are you okay with, or maybe you're not okay with. Like, for instance, when I came here, I felt like everybody was a mover and shaker. We were all coming in together straight out of college. It just felt like, I don't know, it felt like a business school. Like we would go to clubs with our business attire on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What have you seen in Atlanta?
I've seen us become this global international city that started as a big country town with red dirt roads.
Yeah.
So I moved to Atlanta when 400 was still a red clay dirt road.
That was 2 years ago, guys. She's not telling her age. 2 years.
Yes. But still then, mm-hmm. there's so many things that have changed about Atlanta, but there's so many things that I love that have remained the essence of Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So when I moved to Atlanta from Duval, I moved to College Park, Georgia with my aunt and uncle, and my uncle was a lawyer. Mm-hmm. So remember, I told you at 7 I wanted to become a lawyer.
Right.
Now my mom divorces my dad. We move in with her sister and her husband, who's a lawyer. Mm-hmm. And through him, I get to see Atlanta through a professional lens. And I was overwhelmed with just the ability and presence of Black people who were educated, who were about their business, who were in charge of things. And this was back in the late 80s. And so when we fast forward, you still feel those same elements. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand what you're saying. I understand what other people see in Atlanta from the TV shows or the internets or the right. bad memes. But at the heart of Atlanta is still a place where a child, a Black child, a Black girl can come to a city and make her dreams of becoming a judge from a family that lives in the poorest zip code in the state of Florida, who has never had a college graduate on either side, and become a judge. So it's really hard for anybody to tell me anything bad about Atlanta.
Oh, that's right.
Now, that doesn't mean that there are some things that I would do differently, but every generation does things differently. I still believe that Atlanta leads globally in culture and in trends and in music and in entertainment and in politics. So for me, I forever love Atlanta.
There you have it, guys. She loves Atlanta. I feel like you just straight represent it. Like,
Thank you.
Do you get a check after this? Like, does Atlanta pay you for this?
Well, I do work for the city of Atlanta.
I feel like
technically
you're on payroll right now. Like, you are clocked in. Okay, someone needs to give her a check. She's on it. All right. Is there anything you want to share with us that we haven't already spoke about that can help inspire us before I head on to random questions?
Yeah, I think that going back to the book, I just really want to take a moment because, again, since I've been on this tour about the book, my sister and I talked about this. We have always grown up very proudly being the daughter of a junkie. We've never been ashamed of it. We've never hidden it. We've always been freely honest and transparent about it in every aspect of our lives. I didn't realize until I wrote the book how many people, especially children of addicts, who suffer in silence. And I just want to take a moment and make sure that those people know that there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing that we did wrong. There's nothing that they have to apologize for or hide from. And in their own time, because I'm comfortable doesn't mean that they are comfortable now. I hope one day that they can figure out how to live out loud in a way that they are proud of.
I love it. You're inspiring over here.
Thank you.
She's inspiring, guys. All right, Judge Terrinee, are you ready?
I'm ready. I think.
I drink some water because we're getting ready for random questions. All right, guys. Okay, so this is the rules, or these are the rules. Answer the question as quickly as you possibly can. If you have a quick, funny story that you want to share, inspirational, obviously, please do. But otherwise, short and sweet. All right?
Got it.
What's your most controversial opinion?
I think I'm a walking contradiction.
That's your most controversial opinion, is that you're a contradiction.
Yes.
You're a walking I am too. Do we need black people? Do we need men? Black women? Do we need them?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I know we're supposed to be short and sweet, but again,
give it to us.
Why would we not need them? Yes, that's insane. And I go back to the crack cocaine epidemic. You know, for some reason, I don't know, society was able to convince us that we should throw our men away.
Ooh.
When we went through this epidemic, they told us that our men had no value. And so what did our men start to believe? That they had no value. And then we became surprised or, upset that our men started to disappear. But if you start to tell our men that they have no value and our men start to believe they have no value, they believe that they are doing the best thing for you by not being there. And so I am very grateful. Now, I'm passionate about this because I hated when people did that in my own family, when they tried to make me devalue my father because he had an addiction. He is mine. He is my father. And he has value. And everything that he has done in spite of his addiction still contributed to my life. I would be nothing without my father. Yes, I need my father. I need black men. We all need black men. We need black families to be back on track with the entirety of our community. We come from a people who believe in the community of people. Now, all of a sudden, again, and maybe that's my most controversial thing, I'm a boss. I'm not a boss. I am a woman who is here to nurture my children and my men. No, we absolutely need our men.
This is the second to last question. Finish this statement. Black women or black men deserve what?
Each other.
Wow. That's simple.
That's simple.
Wow. Okay. Love it. How did you heal? What does healing look like for you?
So
Did you go through therapy?
I didn't.
How did you make it happen?
So I have a sister who's younger than me. Her name is MiaMichelle Gundy. My daughter is named after her. She is a main character in the book where I talk about everything we survived together. And I am convinced, I just told you, I couldn't believe I'm alive.
Right.
But now I'll tell you that I know the only reason I am alive is because of MiaMichelle Gundy. She was my therapy. She was my life. She was my breath. She was my heart. And so I got through it all because of her and with her.
Got it. Last question. It's the end, and you are going to the pearly gates. What do you hope God says to you?
Well done.
That's it?
That's it.
Do you feel like you've done well?
I do. I'm very, very proud of the life I've made, especially considering where I started. And so that doesn't mean I think it's been perfect or it's been easy, but I am so grateful to be where I am right now. I am so grateful to have made a life that I can look in the mirror and be proud of in front of anyone. But more importantly, in front of the people that I love the most and who love me. My daddy, my mama, my sister, my kids, my aunts, my uncles, my grandmother. Those are the people that I wanted to make proud, and those are the people that I know I have made proud. And so the rest is gravy.
You're a fighter.
Absolutely.
You can see it in your eyes, man.
Yeah.
I'm mildly scared, y'all. Mildly scared. If something goes down, I'm calling Judge Terrinee.
I'm going to be very calm.
That's how you know. Whenever you're dealing with someone who's calm, be scared. Always be scared.
I just told you, when you've seen so much, it's not a lot that really gets you excited, because what you know is that the calmness is how you survive. You can't panic. You know what I mean? It's just like a pool. Life is like a pool. You can't panic in the water. You can't panic in life.
Wow. Tell our audience where they can find you.
You can find me anywhere you are looking at daughterofajunkie.com.
I love it. And your social media?
The Daughter of a Junkie.
There you go, guys. Judge Terrinee. And you guys can probably find her in court.
Absolutely, every single day. But hopefully I won't see you all there unless you're just coming to observe.
Just visiting.
Yes.
No, we're not. We don't
research, background information.
We don't want to put that all the way out there. We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Aw.
No, I really want to say that I think that at the beginning of this, you gave me my flowers, and I want to give you yours.
Oh, thank you, Judge.
Yeah, so many people don't realize what it is to go out on faith, to try something new, to decide I'm going to try a new career or a new path. And you have forged ahead and done amazing at it. And I hope that you are proud of that. I hope that you feel like you've done a job well done as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you know how difficult it is when you're starting new things.
Yes.
But I'm happy that I get to meet, I can't say meet because I already met you before, but I get to know stories like yours, because I do, like you said earlier to me off camera, is sometimes people they're not aware of the stories, and your stories can help others. And if you are silent, you can't help.
I'm so grateful for you sharing my story, because believe it or not, some people shy away from this story because it's not really pretty and neatly wrapped, but we're humans. We don't have neatly wrapped stories, but it still makes us amazing people. And I feel like the more we share, the more we see that we have so much in common.
Judge Terrinee, thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, if you like this content and if you're moved the way that we're moved, please, guys, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And of course, make sure that you reach out to us via email at info@smittyand.com. Again, that's info@smittyand.com. And until next time, guys, I am about to cry. Take care of one another.